Okay, so today we're going to be learning Microsoft Word. This is day one. It's the beginning of it all. It's going to be really cool, lots of information. And again, this session is being recorded so that you can go back and listen to it over and over and over again, and also, do the practices because it's important. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to learn how to open up Microsoft Word. And I'm only stating that because I know some people already know how, but we're just taking this from the very, very beginning. So just kind of, let me do my thing. So the first thing is we need to recognize if we have Microsoft Office Word on our computers. So you should have, if it's installed, on the bottom bar, which is this very long black bar at the bottom of my screen. I hope you can see that. I'm going to move my, there we go, move that out of the way, which is my, there we go, make sure I was recording, my toolbar, my Zoom toolbar. And I have an icon, and it is a blue background with a white W, and that is the Microsoft Word icon. Most of you should find it either on this long taskbar or on the desktop, right? The program, not the individual files that I'm pointing to right now, but the actual program. I don't have the program on my desktop, but I do have it down on my taskbar. You can also come to the far, far, far left of the bottom of that taskbar where it says type here to search. That's your search bar, and that'll type for files, programs, anything that's inside of your system. So if you type Word, and that's all, just Word, no Microsoft, just Word, then you should be able to see the app that pops up, not just the app, but also the year of your Word. So this is Word 2016. If you're working on 2007, you're fine. You're going to have just about everything that I cover is still going to be covered in this class. Obviously, if you have 2016, then you're the same. And if you have 2020, then you're ahead of the game. So that's where we're at right now. Go ahead and click on Word. Just click left mouse one time, and that's going to open it up for us. Now, I have, this is my Word screen, and I'm going to talk about this for a little bit just so that you can see what's going on. So when the Word application opens up, this screen is showing us three important things, one of which I always ignore, but it's still important, so it shows up. Let's break the screen down. So on the far left of the screen, we're looking at recent files. Now, Word, what it does is it stores the name of these files for you in the order in which you worked on them. So this is the stuff I did yesterday, this week, last week, and these are things that are older. They were done quite some time ago. This is a quick way to open up files, but here's the thing. These files, they don't necessarily mean that they're in your system. The file name will be registered and logged over here on this side of the screen, even if you open it from a thumb drive. So if this file, let's say this Thanksgiving grocery list was on a thumb drive and I inserted that into the computer, I opened it up, because it opened, Word registered that file and it put it over here in the list of recent files. But if I click on it, it may not open because I saved it on a thumb drive. So I'm saying all this to say, even though this is your recent area, there's another place that I actually open my files from. I actually don't even open my files from here. I don't know, it's just iffy. I save a lot of work on flash drives, and there's nothing worse than clicking on something, I can't find the file. Oh, because it's on a flash drive, it's on a thumb drive somewhere. So I don't use that area, but that's what it is, and that's what it does. Also, if you're sharing your computer, you're going to have recent files that you open, recent files someone else opened, and it's just like an indiscriminatory type of area. Just everything kind of goes there, and it doesn't, it doesn't let us know who did it, and it just name of the file and where it's located, and you're hoping that you can open it from there. So I don't use this area, but that's what that is, and that's what it's for. If you're the only person using the computer, it might actually benefit you because everything should be here for you. Now, on the right side, the majority of this screen, there's a couple of other things that are super important, and I'm going to start with what we call the blank document. And that's this option right here, which is a totally clean, white, clean piece of paper. And that's where you're going to be in this class most of the time. Blank documents, blank documents, blank documents. I'll never give you something I started that you have to complete. Everything you do in this class will be from blank, and you will complete it yourself. You will create it and complete it. So that's the blank document. That's the second big major thing on this screen. Some might consider it the first, because that's where we start actually doing any work. Then we have what are called templates. Now, I don't allow templates in my classes. I don't allow anyone to use templates in my classes. But I do want you to know what the template is so that you can use it at home. So templates are pre-designed documents. Someone else has taken the time to be creative and, make the document for you. So which type of documents are pre-designed? Well, here we have categories. So let's take a look by clicking on the word business, and then we're going to see the first types of templates. So these are business templates that are already designed for us. So look at this. If you have a little, this one is a restaurant brochure, but it doesn't have to be for a restaurant. You can have a brochure of whatever it is that you want to talk about. And this is already set up for you. So you know how it's a trifold. So it folds into 3 pieces, 1 and then 2, well, actually 2 lapped on top of each other. The third is the insert. That particular style is pre-measured for you. So if you're not sure, like where to put the text so that it folds just right, then the template is going to be very beneficial for you. We have report templates, we have label templates, a resume template, we have a business card template, healthcare business plan. This is a business plan template, which that's pretty awesome. And then you just scroll down and you can see more and more and more templates. This looks like some sort of an invoice situation right here, even though it says content calendar. Okay, I gotta click on it to see more about it. What is this? This is a ledger. We've got just organic shapes as part of your letterhead, which, by the way, in this class, you will be creating your own letterhead because there's a portion of this class called business letters, and we all have to create business letters, but I also make you do your own letterhead. So we'll learn how to do that. Gift certificate. What? Man, could have did this at Christmas time. I always forget about these things. What else do we have? I mean, I'm scrolling and it's just popping up, loading. So many different types of templates. And so the good thing about a template is because it's pre-designed, right? Someone else took the time to set it up for you, but you can completely swap out information. You can take out their text and put your text in. This cute little kid here, you can get rid of that cute little kid and put your own cute little kid in there instead. So it's a great way to quickly get something done, makes it look a bit more professional. You don't have to worry about placement and measurement. Everything is set up for you. But in all the years I've been doing this, I have found that if you use a template, you really, really do have to know what you're doing because it's hard to adjust some of the text sometimes because templates are usually designed in tables. And so it's very difficult. But you need to do it, you need to do it. So now that I'm looking at the business templates, I'm going to click this arrow here. This is called a back browser arrow, and it's going to go back one page and take us back out to where we made choices. So those are the business templates. They have cards, flyers, letters, education, resume and cover letters, and holiday. Okay, I got to click on holiday so we can see what's in the holiday template. So Look at this. Oh, Valentine's Day is coming up. There it is. Now you can make your Valentine's Day cards. No more Hallmark, right? Or Walmart. You can come here and make your own cards. All of this stuff. So it switches up. Now we're in Christmas stuff because this is the holiday section. Look at flyer or invitation, however you want to call it. Look at that. So an Easter, that's coming up in a minute. So you've got 4th of July, right? So a great place if you are at home and you want to create something and you don't have the time to be super creative. You just don't have the time for it. And that happens. So here you come to a template. All right, so let's click on a template just so I can show you kind of how it works. And then we'll move on from there. So I'm going to click on this Halloween party template. So you click on what you like and you're like, ooh, yes, I like that. I'm having a Halloween party and I just need something really quick. So when you click on it, it loads so you can see it. And then you go ahead and click the create button. And it's going to actually download this template right into Microsoft Word so that you can work in it. And here we are, we're in the template. This is it. So you're looking at the area where they wrote you're invited. So you can highlight that and you can type whatever you want instead. Halloween party, we'll keep that. Oh, we're not going to have it October 31st. We're going to have it instead October 1st, right? Because we're special. Right, so you can click in and make adjustments to the actual template. But if you're paying attention to the screen right now, you should notice that this is a table. I am working within what looks like boxes, right? So if I want to make a lot of adjustments to these boxes, I have to learn how to work within that box. I have to know the rules, right, in order to be able to make some other adjustments. Otherwise, I might be pulling my hair out trying to get things to fall in place where they're supposed to. So the templates, again, they're great for last minute, but you still do have to know how to work it so that way you're not frustrated while you're making some changes to it. All right. Before I move on, are there any questions at all about starting Word up or the blank document or the template?
No.
No, nope, Nancy. Does anyone else have any questions? Or nope, yes, maybe, so. All right, let's keep moving. So I'm just gonna close this out.
I'm sorry. For some reason, I keep getting delayed when I press on wanting to speak. It just takes a moment.
Sure.
The blank document, how do we retrieve that from once we get on to Word?
Sure. So I'm going to close this out and go right back to doing that. So that was the template part. So now I'm going to open up Microsoft Word again, just from the beginning. And then I went here, remember, for template. So the blank document is right here. And this is actually what I'm going to click on right now, blank document. So you click on it. You just choose it. I want that. You click on it and boop, it opens up. Blank document right in your screen, right on your screen. And so what's happening now is the system is saying, all right, you're in Word, here you go, here you are, and hands us this clean piece of paper. And now we're ready to start typing. But before we do, I'm gonna start us at the very, very top of the screen, and then we'll get to that cursor, that flashing, and we'll talk a little bit about that too, because this stuff is really important to know. So here we go, and I'm keeping us open just so I can see you guys' hands, but follow my mouse all the way up to the tippy top of the screen, because that's where I want to start. On the far right of the top of the screen, we have some familiarity, which is the X. We all know the X means to close down. If you click on the X right now, it will close the entire program down. That means you're done, you're finished, ready to move on to something else, and you close out for the day. Perfectly well. We all do it, right? That's how we work on the computer. The one next to it, we touched upon this yesterday. This particular tool has two names. The first name is Restore Down. And we talked about it, and we saw yesterday when you click on that, it shrinks the screen down so you can open another screen next to it and multitask, which is what we were doing yesterday. So that's Restore Down. The button right next to Restore Down, this is your Minimize. So the Minimize button, what it does is it collapses the screen into the taskbar so that you can do other work. So let me actually go back and show you those steps. So I'm not going to close because I'm pretty confident, you're confident that X is to shut this down. So I'm not going to use the X, but I will start back again with the Restore Down. I'm going to go ahead and click on that Restore Down button. And this is what that means. The screen shrinks down so that way, if you want it to, you can open something else and you can work in and out of the two windows at the same time. So when we refer to something like multitasking, this is kind of what we're talking about, being able to work in and out of the screens at the same time. So for instance, maybe I want to work on the internet. So I would have to open up the internet and same thing, middle button, shrink it down. Now it's already down because I've already restored it down. I must have yesterday before I left, so it's still shrunken. So, but this is perfect because this is what I wanted to show. I can go online and maybe I need pictures of lions and I need to go to my images so that over here, while I'm talking about lions, I can take a picture from here and insert it over into my Word doc. This is multitasking, working back and forth between two different applications. And it's efficient. It helps with your time because you're not, just doing one and then shutting it down and then opening something else and then, copying and then coming back. I mean, you just bouncing back from screen to screen to screen to screen. So you're going to find early on in this class, when we probably start our first assignment, you might want to be able to do this sort of thing, being able to multitask at the same time. So I'm just going to close Google down because I don't need it. I want to focus on the window for Word. So now that I hit the Restore Down and it came down, let me remind you of the conversation we had yesterday. We need to be able to know how to move this window around because sometimes when you shrink it down, it lands in the middle of your screen. Now, how can you multitask if something is in the middle? You need it to go to the side so that you can put something else next to it. But these things, sometimes they go boop, right in the middle of your screen. So this is how you move it. You take your mouse and you come up to the blue area at the top. Hold down the left mouse button and drag. That will allow you to be able to move this screen. I will be asking each of you in just a little bit to do just what I'm doing, share your screen and show me. I want to see that you're able to hold down the top of the bar here with the left mouse button and drag this guy around anywhere you want him to go. I'd also like to see that you can change the shape and size of this window. So let's review that. To change the size of the window, right around the window, anywhere on this border, I mean, it's like a box. So anywhere on the edge of the box, if you touch it with your mouse, the mouse turns into two arrows. Now, from this day forward, this is going to matter. It's going to matter all the time because we are now learning today forward, even though we kind of spoke about it the other day, but today forward, we are now making it part of what we have to know. This particular tool, the shape, it looks like an arrow. Well, it looks like a line with an arrow on either end. And that looks like it can almost, do like this, push and pull and push and pull. This is called a resize tool. And every single time you see that tool, that means you can change the shape of something. Now, this is important because this is the beginning of understanding sign language. The computer talks to you. It lets you know when you can do something versus when you can't. And I explained that it takes the frustration level down to like way down, because you won't be doing something that the computer is telling you it can't do once you learn how to read its language. So this particular tool, again, is called Resize, R-E-S-I-Z-E, Resize. It is a line. You can draw this if you need to. Like really in your notes right now, honestly, you should be doing this. You should be going resize equals, you should be drawing the tool out, right? On your paper, drawing the tool out. If you knew how to do it in Word, which we'll eventually get to, we actually have a shape. It's a shape that will allow us to do this particular look. This little guy right here, we can actually draw out the shape, right? Resize equals that shape. And then you would write to adjust the size of your object. You should always get into the habit of taking notes while the class is going on. I do not mind stopping so that you can get caught up in your notes. It's important. It's important. So if you're not able to do it right now, come back to the video after class. Once it's posted, come back to the video, watch it again, get your paper next to you, and write it again. What happens is when you're writing this information, it's really kind of etching into your mind, right? It's kind of going into your brain space, so that way it can start sticking. And you want it to, because as I said, once we learn, and there's quite a few shapes that we're going to be learning. The computer talks a lot, like me, talks all the time. There's a lot of different shapes that it's going to change into, and you really, really, really want to get that down. You do. It's going to be way more beneficial if you learned it earlier than later. So here we go. First shape, resize tool. That shape is going to allow you to adjust the size of your object. If you hold down the left mouse button, you can pull it wider or push it in and make it narrower. A hard word for me, narrower. Or if you come down to the bottom or even the top, you see the direction that the resize tool goes in, right? You can smush it to make it smaller. So you have total control over how wide, how tall, how short your windows are. I know I can only do 2 windows at a time if I'm going to be effective. I mean, really, if you throw in a third window, it's going to throw me off. But you can stack them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, if you can do that, if you can work like that, then you're awesome. and you're doing like multitasking to the 10th power, right? You're the multitasker of the year. But you can do it. You can set as many windows up as you want to so that you can actually work on them. But you do have to learn how to resize, and you do have to learn how to move them around. Okay, so that's what that second tool did. That's what that second button did at the very, very, very top of your screen. And now that we've brought it to your attention, I think that you're going to start noticing those 3 buttons in particular on a lot of things that you see pop up on your screen, not just in Word, but I'm even talking about online. When those windows pop up, we're so close to hitting the, X to close out. But have you noticed that those tools are up there as well? A lot of what you're learning in here, Microsoft Word, will follow you through lots of other applications. It follows you through the internet. So it's a learning process that is reiterated over and over and over again, which is really kind of awesome, because that, I think, is why we adapted to it so easily, because we're seeing the same thing over and over and over again. This class hopefully just gives it a name and a purpose. so you understand why you're doing it and not just like, do it. Because when you just do something, you don't know why you're doing it. You know, it's hard to follow up on that. You know, I don't know why I did that. Just do it. So I hope that helps here. So that's what I want you to do. Again, to move it, you come up to the top where the blue area is, hold down the left mouse, and you move it around. I will be asking each of you to share your screen with me today, and I want to see you open and shut a couple of windows, move them around so that I'll know that you have this part down pat, okay? And I know once you do it once or twice, you're good. This is not something that takes a really long time to learn. Like, you don't have to do this a million times to get it. Now, once you decide, all right, I'm done with that little bitty window, I'm ready to actually get back to work, what you do is you come to the same tool. The same exact tool you use to shrink it is going to be the same exact tool you're going to use to make it bigger. The name changes. It's no longer called a restore down. It is now called a maximize button. So the name changes once it's done its initial job and it becomes a maximize. Maximize meaning that it can go ahead and open up and cover your entire screen all over again, as we mostly work, right, with an entire screen of that application. So go ahead and click on that button again and boop, there you go. Now it's back all over the screen. This is how I work like 98% of the time. One screen, thank you very much. I can't do all that multitasking anymore. All right, before I move further, does anyone have any questions about the restore down, moving the object or bringing it back? All right. So then the final button that we're going to be discussing today is the minimize. And the minimize button is also important. I guess, you know, I don't think you're ever going to hear me say, that one ain't that important. You know, they're all important. They all do so many different things. So the minimize button, what that does is let me show you. Where'd it go? It collapses your work into the task bar, It doesn't shut it down like the X. It doesn't make the window smaller like the restore down. It actually collapses the whole program into the taskbar. And the reason we do that is so we can hide or close down what we're I shouldn't say close down, hide it or collapse what we're working on immediately so we can get to something else, or someone's coming and we have to, you know, gotta hide that stuff really fast. You're gonna want to minimize it down. Now, hiding makes it sound sneaky, but that's not the intent. The intent sometimes is like, you can't save it fast enough, but you need to do something else. So you just got to get your screen back. Like, I got to get to my desktop, which is where I'm at right now, which we're going to talk about in a second. But I have to get to my desktop. Oh, I think we talked about that yesterday, but we can reiterate. Anyway, I collapse it. I minimize it so I can get here. I am in one of the locations that I worked at. A lot of times I had students that would ask for letters. They would need some sort of a character letter or a letter of reference. And so when I would start typing the letters, of course, students are coming up, and I didn't have time to save the letter because saving takes a second, you know, it's a little bit involved. You got to name the file, figure out the location of the file, you know, there's steps to it. So I would just minimize. It would just whoop, hide it right away. So that way the student wouldn't have to read what I was writing about another student, because it's funny, right? When you're working, no matter who it is, I say it's the light, because I don't want to say people are nosy. I'll say it's the light. I think the eyeball just goes straight to the screen because it's like, woo, light, colors, light, and your eyes are there. So no matter who it is, they're just going to shoot their eyes to the light. So what happens is you want to collapse it down. Now, once you collapse it down, how do you get it back? So you're going to go back into the taskbar, back to and I hope you all can see my screen. If you can't see what I'm touching right now, you please have to tell me that, so that way I can try to figure out another way to show it. We have discovered in my afternoon class, there's a lot of things that we're not able to see on the screen. So if you can all see it, I'm going back to my Word icon. And as soon as I go to my Word icon, the first document kind of peeks out like, oh, did you want me? Did you want to work with me? It kind of just comes back up. And yes, I'd like to work with you. So I'm just going to click on it, just right to the document. Just click on it and boop, it opens back up. So it's a quick collapse and it's a quick open up, open right back up, full screen, so that you can get right back to work. So as soon as they take a 2 feet step that way, I hit the button and it opens up, and then I'm back to typing my letter in privacy like I need to when I type those type of letters. So that's the 3 buttons, all of them super important, all of them doing specific jobs, all of them you have to learn, okay? Any questions about any of that before I move forward? Okay, all right, so now we're gonna travel to the right, left, the other right here, the very top of the screen. So another important part, this is the title bar, the title bar. And the reason it's called the title bar is because there's 2 reasons actually. One, it's giving us the title of the application. If I asked you to open up Microsoft Excel, but you're reading Word, that means you are in the wrong application. So it helps a lot, especially for beginners, as they're clicking, and sometimes they click on the wrong thing. The title bar opens up, the window opens up, and the title bar is there. And the title bar is on the title of every window that ever pops up. We just never paid attention to it. But everything that opens up, every window opens up, even online, it has a title bar. It lets you know what is the name of that window. So Word is the application I'm looking at. I'm new, so I'm not really registering the color blue. Eventually, by the time this class is over, you should know your colors, blue, green, orange. You'll know what those belong to. Blue is Word. If I'm trying to get to Excel, which is green, this will help me out in the beginning, my title bar. So this is Microsoft Word, and I am currently working on document 1. Document 1, meaning this clean, brand new piece of paper, Microsoft gave it to me, and the name Microsoft gave it was document 1. When I name it, when I name the file myself, the name document 1 will go away and my file name will come here. We'll see that in practice probably on Monday, but my file name will come here. So it's important, this title bar. It gives you the name of the application and it gives you the name of your file, your document, your file. Those are the same thing. And let's talk about that for half a second. So the computer world, there's not a lot of this going on, but there's enough of it going on that it can confuse people in the very beginning. A document is a file is a document. That's it. Sometimes you'll hear me say, save your document. I mean, save your file. You'll hear me say, save your file. I mean, save your document. They're the same thing. It can be confusing in the beginning, but that's just what that is. So we kind of accept it as we're learning it. Microsoft calls it document 1. So we're learning that's the document. But as soon as you save it, it gets a file name. So then it's a file, right? So they're both the same. Just accept it. The other one that can be a bit confusing is a program is an application, and an application is a program. They are one and the same. No differences between the two. It's just whoever you're talking to. Some people will say, open up the program. Some people will say, open up the application. I'll say both, open up the application, open up the program, open up, it's just what it is. App is short for application. So when you're downloading an app, you're downloading an application, which is a program. So you'll learn all that as we move forward, but that's pretty much, where it begins and ends as far as confusion. There's not a lot in the computer world that they double bill like they do document, file, and program application. There's not a lot of that going on. So thank goodness. There's a lot of that going on in the English language, but it ain't a lot going on in the computer world. So we're happy about that. We are. All right, so we've got Word as the file, as the program, and then Document 1 as the file name that Microsoft gave it. We can always assume this file has not been saved. And the reason I say that is because Microsoft, when it gives you a blank piece of paper, it calls it Document 1 or Document 2 or Document 3. I can keep asking for a new blank document, a new blank document, a new blank document. And every time I do, it's going to name it Document 1, Document 2, Document 3, Document 4, Document 5. It's just going to keep calling it documents and giving it numbers in sequential order. But that doesn't mean it's been saved, because when you save a file, like I said a few minutes ago, the words document, they go away, because that's what Microsoft called it. Once you name a file, your name will replace the word Document 1. And I say assume because I know of people that call their files document. Like, why would you name your file Document 1? Like, why? I don't know why. I don't know why. But I've seen it before. And it was a saved file. Normally, when we were in school, if you opened up some work and you started typing, I'd walk around the classroom and I'd look at the computer. And if I saw it said Document 1, I'd go, save your work, save your work, save your work. And the student's like, oh, okay, I gotta save my work. Like, yeah, you didn't save it. How do you know I didn't save it? Read the title. It says Document 1. You didn't name it that. Microsoft named it that. Did you name it Document 1? Don't ever name your file Document 1. File name should be about what's in the document. It's better for you because then you know what you saved when you actually look at the long list of files you create. You'll be able to know what each file is about when you save it with a name that references what the file is about. It's important. We'll talk about that too when we get to file naming our files and file maintenance. So that's important, the title bar, super important. Now, I'm going to come below the title bar and we're going to start talking about these things here. Files, home, insert, design, layout, references, mailing, review, and view. But before I do, are there any questions anyone has about the title bar? I need to check the chat and make sure. Okay, I've got no questions. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Everyone's saying good morning. Thanks for putting that in the chat. All right, so now let's talk about these things, because these are the things. This is why Microsoft is a multi-billion, I think that's the word, dollar company. You talk about Monster Planet. I think Gates was like one of the first out of all of these tech companies to hit that trillion. So it's a monster company. They're huge. And this is the reason why, period. These beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things we call ribbons. We used to call it a toolbar back in the day, but now we call them ribbons. And it changed in the 2007 version. It was a toolbar up until 2007. Then it's like a ribbon. Anyway, these ribbons, they have different tools on them. So what I'm going to ask you to learn is at least where the tools are located, even if you don't know what the tools are. So let's talk about that first. We start with file, and then we go home, insert, design. When you click on one of those names, what comes out of that is going to be a row full of tools. All of these pictures you're looking at right here, all of these, all the way down here, all the way up, like the whole length of your screen, everything that's on that bar right now that you're looking at, or that ribbon, that is for the home ribbon. Everything, all of these tools belong to the home ribbon. So on the home ribbon, we have what we call basic needs for formatting. These are things that we must have in order to, you know, adjust our document as far as the way it looks. The color of the letters, the size, the look, all those really important things that we have to know, that's going to be on your home ribbon. Plus your cut, copy, paste is on your home ribbon, right? Centering tools, line spacing, bullets. These are a lot of the basic things we need to adjust our document. And so they are found on the home ribbon. Now here's where you're going to learn how to learn the home ribbon, because you got to learn how to learn this stuff. The first thing is this. Most of the tools on the home ribbon, they are not named, meaning that, and I have to highlight this so you can see, cut, copy, and paste and format painter, well, they say cut, copy, paste, and format painter. And nothing else gives us the name of what they are until you touch it. And then the name pops out. We call that name that pops out, we call that a screen tip. A screen tip. The computer is giving you a tip. This is a tip. The B is for bold. And not only does it give you the screen tip, it gives you the corresponding keyboard combination to actually make this feature appear or make it work. So every time you touch one, oh, that's italic. Okay. The U underline, that's what it is. Now, you don't have to know what an underline is. You don't have to know what an italic, whatever that is. You don't have to know. You don't have to know what bold is. But you do have to learn that the B for bold is under the home ribbon. It's important that you really familiarize yourself with the ribbons and which each ribbon holds onto. So that way, as we're learning the work, at least you kind of have an idea of where to go, even before I tell you, because of course I'm going to tell you where to go, but you want to start getting familiar with that. There was a time where I actually gave a toolbar test, so you can tell how long ago that was, because now they're called ribbons. And I used to just line them up, and the students would have so much time to knock them out. But we don't do that anymore. Now we just say, please learn. Please take the time to just touch them. So as you're going over, like, what is this swirly A with all of that stuff on that? What is that? Text effect? What is the text effect? Oh, that's what it is. You can read it. You can add some flair to your text. I love how they wrote that up. Add some flair to your text. But that's really what you do too. You do add flair to it. Touch them. Touch the different tools so that the screen tip can show you what that tool does and give you the name of that tool. All right, so that's the home. Insert ribbon, whole new set of tools, brand new set of tools. And they all do something different than the last ribbon. So insert, you can start thinking of insert as putting something into your document. If I insert something, I'm putting it in something else. So what that is the document, and I can insert things. And they call it insert because we actually have to grab it from somewhere else other than the keyboard. Everything on that insert ribbon, I can't use my keyboard for any of it. My keyboard can put in letters and some numbers and some symbols, which we need, otherwise we're not writing anything. But when it comes to pictures, I have to insert those. If it comes to shapes, I have to insert those. Headers, footers, I have to insert them. Text boxes, word art, I have to insert that stuff. And you're going to be learning a lot of this stuff as we move forward in class. I'm going to try to take as much as I can to teach you this stuff. This is supposed to be a very beginning, basic, sort of a introductory type class. But I'm going to give you some information. I will record it, and I hope you'll just play around with it. And by the time you do get the Comp 2, you'll know all that stuff already. You really will know all of it. So right now, we're learning the tools. What does design do? What? Oh, and let me also point this out too. I'm going to go back home to point this out. So every tool belongs to a group of alike tools, right? These are called groupings. I always say they look like panels because they have these lines that separate them, and they look like panels and panels and panels and panels, but they're called groupings. And the name of the groupings is at the bottom. So this is the font grouping, this area right here. And this is the paragraph grouping, this area right here. And then style is this entire area right here. I think I could do this. Let me move this down. And I think this can help. There we go. This is the font grouping. And you can tell because it says font. And then the set right next door is your paragraph grouping because it says paragraph right here. And then back at the beginning, here is our clipboard grouping because it says clipboard here at the bottom. And of course, styles is here and editing is down here. So you'll learn that within the ribbon, these tools are organized. They're organized. And a lot of my instructions I'll say something like go to the font launch button, and I'm referring to the font grouping and this little button right here that has a little arrow. All of these groupings have an arrow in a little box on the corner. And this is the launch area. That means if I click it, it's going to launch a window where I can format my fonts. I can utilize all of these tools. If I click it, it's going to open a window where I can utilize some of these tools. We don't have to worry about that right now, but that's what this is. And again, come back to the video and listen to this part again. Now, let's clear that. Clear all the drawings. And now we're going to go to the insert ribbon. I got to go to my mouse. Boom. Not that one. No, not that one. There we go. Back to the insert ribbon. And we're in the same boat. Here is the illustrations grouping, the add-ins grouping, the links groupings, the header footer groupings, the text groupings, the symbol groupings. We're back in the same situation. They're all made that way. Design. And this has to do with the formatting of your actual document. And again, we'll go over some of this stuff. Layout. This is how your document is set up. They used to call this page setup. If you're familiar with Word or Microsoft Office back in the day, they used to call this particular ribbon, which was a menu item on a toolbar, but they used to call a page layout. I don't know why they got rid of the word page or page setup. Anyway, it's layout. References. This is for people who are going to be making books because you have a table of content set up, you have your footnotes, you have your sources and your styles, right? If you're writing an essay, maybe the teacher will say, I want MPL style or APA style, right? So you have your references to help with that. Mailings. I have decided you will be making a business card in this class, and we definitely will be coming to mailings to do that. Review. This is when you cannot and do not want to live without the review ribbon. Everything else can go. Everything else, take it away. But do not take my spelling and grammar away from me, please. Spelling and grammar is my all. That's the one that helps me be a better me. Because I need help spelling things sometimes. I don't know about you, but I do. If you don't use a word often, you will lose it. I mean, simple words too, like I don't remember how to spell egg, that 2 G's or 1. I mean, it's like that sometimes. So the spell check is going to be your it and all. Please make sure you utilize your spell check, which we will be learning first assignment. The thesaurus, another thing to help us make us look better. If you keep using the same word over and over and over and over because you don't know any other words, come to the thesaurus, and the thesaurus will actually give you a list of other words that mean the same thing. So now you look like your vocabulary just grew. Love the thesaurus. You know, I think this whole proofing grouping is the best. Word count, if your teacher says, I need a 500-word essay, okay, word count, you just click it, it counts the number of words on your page. So it definitely is important. And then I also think like translate right now. I had some paperwork that I had to do and I wanted to translate it into another language. So I used it, and I of course had someone who spoke that language read it to make sure that it hit the nail. And for the most part it did. So I was like kind of happy about that. But we have Translate. So that way you can actually type up something and have it translated into a different language. Man. And I say this is why Microsoft is a $1,000,000, organization, is because when we had a typewriter back in the day, that's all we had. And what we typed, that's what it looked like. There was no difference in the size, the color, it was all the same. Nobody's work looked different from the next person. Everything you got was the same. So having all of these different ribbons is why Microsoft is where it is now, which is in every home in the world, not just the United States, but the entire planet. It's a monster of a program. And that's because of the fact that we have these beautiful, beautiful ribbons. And then the last one, which is view, allows us to be able to see the screen ways that we want to see it. So we'll be learning a little bit about that. I will be going in and out of different ribbons when I'm teaching the lessons. So that way you can see how they all interact with each other. And what's going to be even cooler is by the time we get to Excel, you will be so familiar with some of the same exact tools that transfer from Word into Excel. Same for PowerPoint. So there's a lot, as these programs, why they're so popular. You're just going to start seeing why, right? All these tools, there's a lot of tools that work in one, it works in the other, works in the other. You're like, whoa, I learned it here, but I can now use it here. I'm familiar. I know how I can use it here. Each program does have their own special ribbons, right? Because they are different programs. But for the most part, you're going to have them all that's pretty much the same. And then the last one that I didn't talk about, I always save this one to last, is File. And File used to, when you clicked on it, it used to open up just like these ribbons, but it would open up elongated, like right down. It would come down this page. Now when you click on File, it's like, oh, I'm my own thing. I'm so special. I have to have my own screen. And it is special. File is very, very special. I often say, if someone sold me like a broken version of Word, like broke down, it only had some stuff in it, I'd want at least the File ribbon. I really, 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 really would. And that's because I always call this one the heavy hitter. It has the ability to save your work. Who wants to take the time to write up a 10-page essay and not be able to save it? Like who would do that? You want to save your work. If you can't save it, then at least print it right? I did it. Here's my work. Let me print it so I have it. Maybe I can scan it into someone else's computer at a later date, but at least I have it. So print allows that. It's on file. So this is important. I saved some work last week. I gotta open it. Please open it so I can keep working on it. If I can't open it, why did I do it? Right? So open, huge. How about I need another piece of paper so I can work on something else? So all of the things that can literally make you cry, those are found in file. So just remember that. The things that can make you cry are found in file. If I can't open a new document, I'm gonna cry, right? If I can't open the stuff I've already worked on, I'm gonna cry. If I can't save this stuff, I'm gonna cry. If I can't print it, so many reasons to cry inside of file. So remember that. That's where all your stuff is that are super, super important in file. And yeah, so that's what we're gonna talk about there. Any questions before I move on to anything else about any of what we spoke about? We've gone through quite a few things, and before I continue, do I have any questions on the floor? I have to keep my ears cold because it's covered because it's so cold in here. Okay, dokie. Recording. All right, here we go. So now we've been learning about the title bar. We've learned about the X, restore down, maximize, minimize. We've learned all about the ribbons, right? At least we learned that there are ribbons and that each ribbon has different specific tools on it. It will be your job tonight and every other night to click on home, insert, design, and look to see what each ribbon has on it. That's going to be your job, okay? Now, I spoke a little bit about view, so I'm coming back to that. View is really important for how you're looking at the screen while you're working. And there's a few things that I have to have that make it make sense for me. So let's talk about those things and see if it makes sense for you. So there's under the view, and here we are, we're in the view grouping on the view ribbon in the view grouping, it says so right here. There are different ways that we can look at this particular document. The read mode of the document really just allows you to see it as a page in a book. So if you can imagine all of this filled out and this side filled out, it's like looking at 2 pages, reading it like it was a book. That's helpful, I guess, if you are writing a book. Maybe that's helpful if you're writing a book so that you can see both pages. You can see how they would look side by side, like, you know. But since we're not really working in the book, I'm going to click on this X so that I can get out of that. Oh, wait. No, I'm not. I'm going back to view so I can get out of that. Navigation pane and wait, let me get back. Hit your escape key. That's going to answer all your questions. Escape key on your keyboard, very, very top left key. It says ESC. When you're in something and you can't get out of it, escape will get you out of it. So I clicked escape and got out of the read mode. The print mode is the mode that you want to work in. This is the mode that actually shows you what comes out of the printer. So you want to see that. If you're in the read mode, I'm going back in again because I'm a glutton. If I'm back in the read mode again, I'm not going to be printing it like this. It won't look like this when it prints, right? So the print mode is what you want because that is the only mode that actually looks like how it should when it comes out of the printer. That's important to work that way. The web layout version is if you're creating a web page, because you can type up text and create a web page right here in Microsoft Office Word. But this is what it would look like. And web pages tend to be designed a little bit wider, a lot wider. And again, it's gonna kind of throw you off if you print how you're reading it and looking at it is not the same as what's gonna come out the printer. So always, always keep it on print layout, because that is the truest of all views of how you're actually working and what your actual work will look like when you print it. The next thing that makes this super important for me is going to be this ruler bar. Now, let me close out this little pane that pops open. This is the ruler bar. On the top, you have a ruler bar. On the side, left side, you have a ruler bar. Where the white and the gray meet, that is your left margin. If you follow that all the way down to the right side, where the white and the gray meet, well, that is your right margin. If you come over to the vertical ruler bar, where the white and the gray meet, that is your top margin. And if you scroll down, where the white and the gray meet, that is your bottom margin. So basically, it's giving you the layout of the document, all of your borders and your boundaries. You can type all the way over to this line, and then your words would go down to the next line on its own. We call that process word wrap. But this is the initial setup, and it's important. So when you ask for a brand new document, the cursor is always going to be in the upper left corner. Now you can answer the question, well, why is the cursor right here? Like, why here? Why not over here, or over here, over here? Like, why here? And that's because that is where your margins are. That is your left. So it's right on that left line, and that is your top. So it's right at the first line you can start typing based off of your margin. So the margins are already built in. You want to make sure you can see that on the ruler. If the check mark is out of the little box, the ruler is gone. You should always, always make sure that your ruler is on by clicking inside the box to produce the ruler. The ruler is important because it's going to be telling us a lot of things about our document once we get started. And I'll be pointing those things out as we work. Right now, all I'm seeing is a straight ruler with a left margin and a right margin. Important to point out. The next thing I want to point out is our zoom. And this is going to be one of those things where you're going to become very, very, very familiar with using the zoom. The zoom is what allows us to bring the page in closer to our face or bring the page out further away from our face. When we're using the zoom, we're never changing the size of anything on the document. That always stays the same. It's just the view into the document. So right now, this zoom is at, let me show you where it's at, because this is where you can control it. You can also control it down here, but this is what it's showing you. Follow my mouse. I'm gonna come all the way down to the bottom right of my screen. There's a scale here. And for a lot of people, this is the better way to adjust the zoom because you're physically seeing it as you slide the scale from left to right. Right now, it's showing that I'm looking at this document at 124%. That means that it's in my face. If I take the scale and slide it down, the document gets smaller and smaller. Notice that the document is getting smaller, the text is not. Well, when I said that out loud, I was like, what? Obviously, the text looks smaller because the document's smaller, but I mean, physically, the text is the same size. When I move the sliding bar over, I'm making the page come even closer to my face, and I'm losing the view of my whole page too. Like once the paper is in my face, I don't even know where the edges of the pages are. because I'm so into the document. So as a rule, 100% is what we call default or basic. That's normal. That's where it all usually is. And that's why there's a button here that takes you straight to 100. So if my Zoom was over here at 212%, I can just click the 100% and it'll take me straight to 100. So because it is, again, the most popular, it's the defaulted size, it's the recommended size, whatever, it has its own button. Otherwise, you can go back and forth here. I typically work in 100%. However, when I am creating something on my document, I will go down to 75 because then I can see all the edges. And Beatrice, this is sort of like important, especially when you're wanting to work with pictures. When you're working with pictures and putting them onto your document, you really need to see the edges of your page so you can see for placement if that picture works there. You know, if you can't see the edges of your page, like where are you putting the picture? Just somewhere randomly in a white spot. I hope that makes sense. So you really have to zoom out. And sometimes 100% is not enough because I got to scroll up and down to get to the whole thing. So that's why when I'm working with pictures, I usually bring it down to somewhere right about 75 to 80 so that I can see all sides of my paper to make sure I'm placing my picture where I want it to go. Okay. So that's the view ribbon, and it's going to be very important for you moving forward, something you're going to work with a lot. Do I have a question on the floor? No. Okay, looks like I had a question on the floor. All right, does anyone have any questions about this particular ribbon? Okay, so let me show you the first assignment. And we're going to talk about it before we actually get into it. I'm going to go File, and I'm going to open, and here we go, Anthony's birthday. So the first assignment that I thought we would do would be this invitation to Anthony's birthday party. And so what we're looking at on this particular document, we're looking at quite a few things. We're looking at some text that we typed onto the paper. We're looking at lots of pictures that we added to the page. We're also looking at formatting. Formatting means to change the appearance. So in order to get this particular document completed, there's quite a few things that we're going to have to do. So I'm going to just basically go over some bare information, and then I'm going to create another recording that will go into creating this actual document. So just what we're looking at, so you'll know. This is a picture, also known as an object. And I got this from the internet. I got everything from the internet. Here's another picture, which is this funhouse or circus tent and the two clowns outside. The seal is another picture. The elephant's another picture. These banners are individual pictures, 1 and 2. We have the giraffe, again, banners 1 and 2. The lion. The number 5 is an actual picture. That's an actual picture instead of the text. And then we have a little ticket here on this particular page. So those are the elements that were used for this. And I'm going to go ahead and end this video right now. And then I will begin a new video that explains how to get started on this. Does anyone have any questions about anything that we've discussed so far today? Okie dokie. And whoops. There we go.